Hi guys, welcome to today's video. Today's video is going to be all about how I got this bronzy glowy summer look using only drugstore products. So if you're curious to see how I did that, then stay tuned for the video. Alright, so we're going to get started first with primer. So the one I'm using today is the e.l.f. Illuminating Face Primer. And with this one, definitely a little bit goes a long ways. So I'm just going to first start off with just that much. And I'm going to focus it on this area right in here and down on my chin because that's where I have the larger pores. But you can see, I don't know if the camera's picking it up, but it's really, oh, it's even on the back of my hand, really glowing. That there, and just put a little bit more on my forehead. But I really like this one for this look that I'm doing today because the glowiness, like the light diffusing particles, or I don't know if they're called diffusing, but light reflecting particles maybe, really come through even under the foundation. So it's a really nice one. So I'm going to leave that to sit for a few minutes. I'm going to use a different primer for underneath my eyes because I don't want the glowiness accentuating the fine lines that I have under my eyes. So I'm just going to use the NYX, the Angel Ale primer on that one. And I'm just going to take a little bit and very lightly put it under my eyes. And that just smooths out all of the little fine lines and wrinkles that we've got going on under in that area. All right, so I do like to let that sit for a couple of minutes before I start going in with the foundation. All right, so that's had enough time to sit. I'm going to go in with a little bit of color correcting today, so I'm going to use that Lise Watier color correcting pencil that I used in my last video. And just very lightly put that just in the area that I need that discoloration covered up. And I bring it right up along my eye socket, I guess you call it, because even the purple goes right up along the inner corner there. And I'm just going to blend that with my fingers. I find the warmth of my fingers just helps it blend in a little bit better. So I'm going to go in with two foundations today. I like to mix my foundations up. I find I get the best colors from doing that. So I'm going to go in with the L'Oreal Infallible Pro Glow. I like the little particles that they have in here. And the Infallible 24-hour wear. So I'm going to put this one on my actual face. Give it a little bit of a shake to get that all blended. And I'm going to put it directly on. The nice thing about this is it isn't very runny, so it's not going to run down my face and onto my clothes. And then I'm just going to take this one here and I'm going to put it on the back of my hand after I shake it up, of course. So I have this one in the shade 203 and I have this one in the shade 430. And they complement each other really well. So I'm just going to take a little bit on the back of my hand and use my sponge. And then I just start blending the two together. My goodness, I'm just looking in the mirror at all, I think gray hair actually. I think they're like little soldiers and they like to stand at attention. Look at them all. Oh my goodness. And when I'm putting on my foundation, I'd like to start in the center of my face and work my way out that way. And just make sure to blend it down your neck so it looks all seamless going down your neck. I do have some self-tanner on, so the foundation actually doesn't look too bad with that. It's blending quite nicely. It's always hard to pick foundations for when you have self-tanner on and when you don't have self-tanner on. So that's why sometimes I do like to mix up the foundations and just gives you a bit of a different color. I'm not sure how well the camera's picking it up, but you can still see that e.l.f. Primer underneath there just showing through my skin. And then I'll just take a second look to see how well it's all blended in. And then I do like to put just a little bit of extra coverage on these areas here where I have the sun damage, so I just put a little bit of extra foundation in those areas. I find it's really hard to color correct those things, so I don't mind them showing through a little bit. I just don't like it when they're just like that stark brown color. Okay, now that we're all blended with the foundation, we're going to go in with our concealer. This is the Maybelline Age Rewind, and I just have this in the shade Neutral. And I'm just going to press the concealer on. I'm not going to rub it because I do have that color corrector on and I don't want it to be disturbing that. And again, I'm just putting it in the area where I have the most discoloration. And I'm just going in with a smaller sponge, and these ones work great in the under eye area. And as always, I always bring a little bit of that onto my eyelid, and I use that as my base for my eyeshadow. Although today, we're actually not going to be using an eyeshadow. I'm going to cheat a little bit and use my bronzer. And I like to do that on these looks where just trying to make it all nice and neutral looking. And then I'm also just going to highlight the middle portion of my face, so just here on my forehead, down the center of my nose, my cupid's bow, and just down on my chin. And I'm going to blend that in as well. Make sure it's blended in all nicely. And that's just to balance out your face where you had the brighter under eye, and it just helps balance everything out. Okay, and then we're going to go in and do my eyebrows. So I have the L'Oreal Brow Stylist Definer, and I have this one in the shade Dark Brunette. So I just like to brush the eyebrows first with the little spoolie, and then I'll go in and do the rest of the eyebrow. And I just fill in all these little sparse areas. I still like my brows to look quite natural, and I just bring the color right down the tail end of the eyebrow. A good focus is to have it from the corner of your eye, and that's where the tail end, if you see where that's going, the tail end should be lining up with that. And same thing with the front of the eyebrow. So if you look at where your little tear duct is here, it should line up. If you go straight up like that, it should line up with your tear duct area. And then I just brush through them a little bit again to make sure that everything looks blended. And again, your eyebrows should look more like sisters and not twins, so they don't have to be exact looking. But I think those look okay today, just maybe a little bit more just in this area here. So next I'm going to set under my eye. I'm going to see if I need to use powder on the rest of my face, because I do want to have like more of a dewy, glowy look today. So, but I do need to set under my eye, especially that concealer. That'll just be sliding down later on in the day. So I'm just going to I'm using I should have showed you that. I'm going to be using the Maybelline Fit Me, and this is in the shade Fairlight. And I just take a little bit and I put that on my sponge, and I find this helps. It's better for me to do it this way than using a brush and putting it on. And for me, that just helps with any little bit of creasing that may go on from the concealer. So one of the things that I like doing on a daily basis is trying to get out the door quickly. So one of the steps that you can do to try to get out the door quickly, instead of using it like a bunch of eyeshadows and you're trying to blend that in, I use just a bronzer. So I'm going to use my Marcelle bronzer, and I just take the eyeshadow brush like I normally would. And it's just so nice because you can use it on your whole entire eyelid, and it gives you just some nice color. It covers up all those little veins that I have on my eyelid. And the nice thing about this bronzer that I use all the time, I know you hear me every video talking about it, is just because it has a tiny little bit of shimmer to it, but not a lot. So it's nice having that on my eyelid where it's just a little bit of matte with a little bit of shimmer in it. Okay, and then next I'm going to use a little bit of the Lise Watier eyeshadow palette. Looks like that. And I'm going to use this middle shade right in here. I think this is called, just hold on a sec, look on the back, Sateen. So it's just a very nice creamy color, and I'm going to put a little bit on my finger, and I'm going to put that right on the center of my eyelid, and that's just going to help the area my eye open up. So I'm just going to use that. Instead of using a brush, I'm just going to use my finger, and it just gives your eyes a little bit of pop. And then I'm going to take that same color, and I'm going to put it on the spongy part of the applicator. I'm going to just pop that into the corner of my eye, and that just really brightens up the whole eye area. And I'm also going to use it just right below my brow bone. Yeah, I thought this was a really fitting day to do this makeup video because it's raining outside today. So I thought, well, why don't we do this one today? Because who doesn't want to look all bronzy and glowy and look like we've been on a tropical vacation? So I'm not going to do a big, huge eye look today. I had thought about putting falsies on and stuff, but they're such a pain in the butt. So I'm just going to go in. This is the this is the Lancome Khol pencil. And I was reading a review about this from a makeup artist. She works on older women, and she said that she prefers this pencil because it suits everybody. So it's not too black, which black can be, I mean, if you use black eyeliner, I still use black eyeliner. It's a preference. But sometimes it can look really dramatic looking. But sometimes the browns that I've used just are too much of like a brown. So this one is perfect. It's in the shade Black Coffee. And it's just like the perfect shade of brown that I really, really like. So I'm just going to put that on real quick. What I also liked about it, it's very soft for a Khol pencil. I was surprised the first time I used it how soft it was, because I usually gravitate to more of a gel pencil. Okay, so that's on. I'm just going to take a little bit of that bronzer. I'm going to put it under my lower lash line. I always like to have just a little bit of color under my lashes. And the nice thing about using a bronzer under your lower lash line is it just doesn't look like it's too much and it blends in really nicely. Okay, and then next I'm going to go in with mascara. So the mascara I'm using today is the L'Oreal Voluminous Butterfly Sculpting. I've used this quite a bit in some of my other videos. It's one of my favorite mascaras. Actually, what I'm going to do first is curl my lashes. So let's do that first before I put that mascara on. And I find this just gives it a little bit of extra pop when you curl your lashes, because my lashes tend to grow kind of straight out. So giving them any sort of little bit of help is greatly appreciated. All right, so now we're going to go in with mascara. But I think I've warned you before about this mascara. It's a very wet mascara. So yeah, if you have like really fine lashes, you'd probably want to use one of the other, I think there's one called Feline, something like that, which it's a bit on the drier side, but it is similar to this, and I really, really like that one as well. And I do usually like to apply about 2 coats of the mascara. And sometimes with this one, when you're first applying it, it can look a little bit clumpy, but as it dries, it really makes the eyelashes fan out. Okay, so next I'm going to go in and do my waterline. So this is the L'Oreal Infallible. It's a waterproof eyeliner, and this is in the shade Nude Beige. So I'm just going to quickly do my waterline. And again, that just opens up your eyes. Okay, so now we're going to start getting into some bronzing. So my secret weapon lately has been the Lise Watier Havana. This is called the Whipped Bronzing Gel. And you can see I've been kind of using it a lot lately. But you can use it actually as a moisturizer. I've been using it as a bronzer, and I've just been using a little bit on my finger. I'll show you there, just a little bit on my finger. And I've been dabbing it where I would normally put moisturizer, and I've been using it as a contour. So it looks really nice, and it just melts on your skin. So I'm just going to dab it along here, and then I'm going to use my sponge. It just gives you a really soft, sun-kissed glow. Just going to take a little bit more and put it along my hairline, just in the usual places where you would contour and bronze. You guys believe that it is July already? It's like, oh my goodness, I don't know if it's, as I'm getting older, it just seems to be, time flies by. Yeah, I just couldn't believe it the other day. I was like, holy smokes, we are over halfway of the year done. Yeah, it just leaves you a nice, really subtle glow. So we're going to go in with a bronzer. Now this isn't going to be my usual bronzer. I wanted to try something different. So this is called the Makeup Revolution Baked Vivid Bronzer. And this I have in the shade Rock On World. Now I'll give you a little bit of advice because I used this bronzer the very first time. And I just swirled my brush in like I normally would. And when I went to put it on, it was like, oh my goodness, this is very, very pigmented. So if you're not used to a very pigmented bronzer, very lightly put your brush in it, very, very lightly, and then you can always build it up. But yeah, it surprised me, and there's quite a few flecks in there, but it leaves a really, really nice bronzy glow to you. So we're going to go in with that. We'll go up into our hairline. I don't know if you can see how it's, even though I've just put a little bit of my brush into it, look at how it's just, oh my goodness, lighting up my forehead. And then I'm just going to take a little bit down along my jawline, and then I always run a little bit down my neck area as well. And again, that's just trying to make it all blend in nicely. And then I just take my sponge and kind of diffuse the areas where there may be a little bit of extra bronzer. And it just helps it blend in better. And then it just doesn't look as harsh. I mean, there's nothing wrong with looking like you have been out in the sun, but you really haven't. So you're kind of cheating a little bit, but they don't need to know that. But yeah, just doesn't that give you the nicest glow? Nice bronzy look. Okay, so I'm just going to go in with a little bit of blush. I don't really need a lot of blush with this bronzer. But we're just going to go in with the NYX Baked Blush, and I have this in the shade Wanderlust. I'm just going to use a tiny, tiny little bit because it's a very nice little peach shade, and it'll just enhance that bronzer. Okay, next up is highlighter. So I've got the Maybelline Master Chrome, and this is in Molten Rose Gold. I don't need actually a lot of highlighter with this bronzer because there was so much shimmer in it, but you know I like my highlighters. I'm going to take it down the bridge of my nose and on my Cupid's bow. Such a pretty highlighter. And still my favorite. After all the highlighters that I try, this is still my favorite. And I'm just going to pop a little bit of extra into that corner of my eyes. Okay, for my lips today, I'm just going to use the Maybelline Colorsensational, and this is in the shade Purely Nude. And I actually like to fill in my whole entire lip with the lip liner, and that just is going to help your, whatever lipstick you put on, it's going to help stay throughout the day. So next, the lipstick I'm going to be using today is by Kiss, and this is I have in the shade, it says Khol, K-I-L, but that's not a very nice name. So 03, and then it's just a really pretty peachy corally shade. And then just because I like to mix up my lip colors, I like to put other ones on top of the other ones. So this is the Maybelline. I have this in the shade, if I can find it here, Baddest Beige. And with this one, I really like it because I don't even have to use like a lip gloss on top. This is very, very shiny, but it gives just such a really nice nude color, which I thought would go really nice with the bronzy look we're trying to achieve today. And then one step that I'm going to add today is I'm going to set it with some setting spray because I want it to last a little bit longer today. And then hold your breath when you do this. And Maybelline's really good for, it's a really, really nice setting spray. It helps keep that makeup on all day. So there you have it. This is the completed look. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, I'd love for you to give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't done so already, if you would subscribe to my channel, I'd really appreciate that and become a little part of my home here on YouTube. And I'd also love for you guys, if you could leave me some comments below of any future videos you would like to see. I have a few things that I have planned coming up, but I always like to hear from you guys and your feedback on what you would like to see. So as always, I hope everybody has a great week, and I'll see you all very soon in my next video. Bye!